From the movie An Inconvenient Truth that was talking about global warming, we discussed together about the things that inspired us. And in the end, we all choose to talk about flood. So flood is related to global warming because when global warming increases, so does rainfall, and which also increases the risk of flood. In this short video, we are going to talk about the causes of flood, effects of flood, area liable to flood, and lastly, how to prevent them.
I'm going to talk about what causes flooding. First, rains. Each time there are more rains than the drainage system can take, there can be floods. Sometimes there is heavy rain for a very short period that results in floods. In other times, there may be light rains for many days and weeks and can also result in floods. Second, river overflow. Rivers can overflow their banks to cause flooding. This happens when there is more water upstream than usual, and as it flows downstream to the adjacent low-lying areas, there is a burst and water get into the land. Third, strong winds in coastal areas. Seawater can be carried by massive winds and hurricanes into dry coastal lands and cause flooding. Sometimes this is made worse if the winds carry rain themselves. Sometimes water from the sea resulting from a tsunami can flow inland to cause damage. Fourth, dam breaking. Dams are man-made blocks mounted to hold water flowing down from highland. The power in the water is used to turn propellers to generate electricity. Sometimes too much water held up in the dam can cause it to break and overflow the area. Excess water can also be intentionally released from the dam to prevent it from breaking, and that can also cause floods. The last one, ice and snow melts. In many cold regions, heavy snow over the winter usually stay unmelted for some time. There are also mountains that have ice on top of them. Sometimes the ice sadly melts when the temperature rises, resulting in massive movement of water into places that are usually dry. This is usually called a snowmelt flood. Here are a few events that can cause flooding.
Effects of flood. Flood brings massive problems to people and effects can stay for many years. It can have effects on the economy, environment, and people. On the economy, roads, bridges, farms, houses, and automobiles are destroyed. So when government provides help, it can cost a lot and also take years for the affected places to be rebuilt. On the environment, chemicals and other dangerous waste goes into the water and contaminates it, which could kill animals, insects in the affected areas, and also unbalance their ecosystem. On the people, many people and animals have died in floods. Some are also injured and also become homeless. Floods disturb the water supply and electricity, and it also brings in a lot of diseases.
Today I'm going to talk about area liable to flood. Generally, the natural behavior of water is that it moves from higher ground to the lower ground. This means if this area higher ground adjacent to a lower ground, the lower ground is a lot more likely to experience flood. Additionally, anywhere that rain falls, flood can develop. This is because anytime there are more rain bringing more water that it can be drained or absorbed by the soil, there is a flood potential. In many cities, there are buildings springing up in many places where they have not been authorized. Some of these buildings are placed in waterways. Other places also have very bad and shock drainage system. The danger is that with the rain, water will find its own level if it cannot find its way. The result is flooding and your home could be underwater. Any planned low-lying area adjacent a river, lagoon, or lake is also more likely to have floods anytime the water level rises. This includes coastal area and shorelines, as seawater can easily be swept inland by strong wind, tide, or tsunamis.
How to prevent flood? We cannot stop the rain from falling because these are natural events, but we can do something to prevent them from having a great impact. 1. By planting trees. Trees and grass help protect the land from erosion by moving water. How? The trees and grass absorb the water, so if there's more trees, the more amount of water will be absorbed. 2. Sea defense wall. It protects the base of cliff, land, and building against erosion. It prevents coastal flood and protect your property. And lastly, education. It is very important that you inform everyone and every people about how dangerous flood is and what causes flood and what can be done to minimize the impact.
There is a fact that global warming is a reason why there are more flooding happens than before, and the Earth is really getting more heat because of human activities. But we don't want to see the disaster happens, so what could we probably do to protect the planet from being destroyed? First, start from our daily lives. It's not very hard to ask no straws at 7-Elevens or use less plastic bags, and also we can follow up with the news just to get information what's going on. And also we can reuse as many things as we can, because there are many ways to make the everything from the trash. At least we could do our best to try to help the Earth get recovered.